Back in January, during one of my video premieres, someone in the live chat suggested that I watch the movie Cry Wilderness. I had never heard of this movie before, so I decided to check it out, and I can honestly say that I was baffled by how bad this movie was. Hey guys, welcome back to the show, and if you enjoy my videos and you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel or even supporting the channel for perks such as early access to videos or getting your name in the credits. The links for that are in the description. Now, this movie is truly something else. I have watched countless movies specifically for this show over the past decade, and not all of them are bad movies. But this is one of the few that really stands out because not only is it incredibly weird, but it's so bad that I was left speechless by the end of it. I'd like to think that I'm pretty fair when it comes to my movie reviews. Even if a movie is really bad, I try to find at least one good thing about it, but Cry Wilderness is so stupid, so poorly made that I really can't talk about this movie without getting pissed off. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not holding back here. There is going to be a lot of vitriol in this video, and I don't feel bad about it. The Motion Picture Guide called it an inane and poorly made feature and gave it a 0-star rating. Variety said it was one of the worst movies ever made. And yeah, there's no exaggeration there. That sounds about right. Cry Wilderness is a family adventure film that features some incredibly bad writing and acting, and you will see examples throughout this video. This movie was directed and produced by J. Schlossberg Cohen, who I'm sure is a very nice person, but this is one of those movies where I am honestly amazed that it ever got made. I really wish I could say that, yes, while this movie is awful, he also did these great movies. But I can't. The only thing I could find was that he was a producer on Night Train to Terror, and that's it. The movie was produced and distributed by Visto International, who hired Philip Yordan to write the script and told him no violence, sex, or profanity, and no horror scenes. And apparently, he told them that he would be basically writing a movie about nothing then. And they were like, yeah, that's what we want. That's what they got. The movie starts at the Natural History Museum with Paul staring at a statue of Bigfoot. Because what says natural history better than a mythical creature? By the way, this isn't really a statue. They just got the guy who plays Bigfoot to put on the costume and stand there. Because if you look closely, you can see him moving. Paul is there as part of a field trip with his boarding school, and when his teacher, Mr. Douglas, notices Paul isn't with the group, he goes looking for him. When he finds Paul, who is still staring at Bigfoot, and no doubt completely weirding out everyone else in the museum by now, he wants answers.
Paul, why don't you stay with the group?
I know him.
And Mr. Douglas is like, no you don't. Bigfoot is a fairy tale. Besides, even if he was real, he wouldn't want to hang out with you. Which I think was a little unnecessary, but who knows. Maybe this job is the only thing that makes him feel like he has a shred of power in his life. Did you ever have that? Did you ever have a teacher when you were growing up who, when you were a kid, you were like, why are they so mean? And now as an adult, you look back and you're like, no, they really were an asshole. And I think it's because they just could be. So Paul is like, nuh-uh, he's real. We met last summer and I gave him some candy and then I gave him even more candy and he really liked that. So I started bringing him cans of Coca-Cola and he loves Coca-Cola. And are you gonna start bringing him shots of insulin now, Paul? I mean, a real friend would at least consider some kind of balanced diet. And I bet you didn't even bring him any good candy either. You probably brought him like plain M&Ms or all sorts. Two candies which I have recently disparaged on this show, so that's the question for the comments section. Which one is worse? And I don't care what anybody says. All right, peanut M&Ms, that's God food, all right? Top tier candy right there, no argument. But plain M&Ms? Straight in the trash. Anyways, Paul is like, look, I can prove he's my friend. He gave me this necklace. Which obviously proves he knows Bigfoot, because where else would you find a trinket like that? Definitely not in thousands of gift shops across Western North America, that's for sure. Paul is like, yeah, I also brought him a radio too. He likes rock and roll music. And that's the first claim he's made that makes any sense. because Bigfoot is very clearly a rock and roll guy. I mean, just look at him. Hairy, muddy, naked, proudly displaying his breasts for all to see. A glazed look in his eyes that clearly shows he's on at least 3 drugs. That night, Paul is sleeping in his fancy private school dorm room when he's woken up by someone yelling outside. Apparently, this guy's also brought a bright red light, so Paul goes to the window to see if his suspicion is correct. Is this a house call by a male prostitute from Amsterdam? No, it's Bigfoot. And apparently, he also brought his smoke machine for dramatic effect.
Your father is in great danger, Paul.
So Paul's like, okay, I'll save him. Just let me get my socks. And then he runs away from school just like he ran away from his group at the museum. You better get used to it too, because this kid spends like 90% of the movie just running away from everyone. And why did he run away? Because Bigfoot told him to save his father. And what better way is there to do that than by slowly walking up a dangerous icy highway that is frequently used by big rigs and barely has any shoulder? To his credit, Paul does realize that his plan is impractical and unsafe, so he comes up with a new, much safer plan. Hitchhiking on one of the big trucks, with a weirdo whose dog looks like it's longing for the sweet embrace of death. Meanwhile, Forest Ranger Will Cooper is hot on the trail of, I don't know, a wolf or something. Whatever it is, he's gonna blow it away. But just as he's about to shoot, he realizes it's Paul, who is hiding behind that tree for some reason. And I've never seen a son or father more happy right after one of them almost shot the other. In fact, Will doesn't seem surprised to see Paul at all. He doesn't even have any questions. He's just like, well, I guess my son ran away from school and then somehow found me in the middle of this forest and jumped out from behind a tree, so I almost shot him. I mean, kids will be kids, right? Will says that Paul better have a good excuse for not being in school, and Paul tries to explain that Bigfoot sent him because his life is in danger, and Will is like, Paul, you are too old to believe in Bigfoot. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize that believing in Bigfoot was something that you grew out of, like believing in the Tooth Fairy, or the Easter Bunny, or that good things happen to good people. Bigfoot could very well still be out there. I mean, sure, there's no real proof, but if everybody stops believing, we'll stop getting movies like this. And I need them. This movie is full of B-roll of animals. It's like they really wanted to sell the setting of the forest, which is actually kind of funny because at several points in this movie, they cut away from the characters in the forest to a different location entirely and try to pass it off as the same place, but more on that later. Then there's this bobcat, which Paul, like any responsible child raised by a professional park ranger, immediately decides to terrorize. He chases it up a tree, all over the rocks. He even runs circles around it and pets it, making sure to get as much of his human scent on it as possible to maximize the chances that its mother will abandon it to starve. Anyways, fun is fun, but it's time to get serious. Paul's been sent here by Bigfoot to save his father's life, and he knows the best way to do that is to just randomly run off into the woods for no apparent reason, forcing his dad to chase him. He yells at Paul to stop, but Paul just ignores him because, like I said, Paul's on a mission to save his dad's life. He doesn't have time to stop for him. Paul eventually runs into Jim, who starts laughing, and then they all laugh. There's a lot of that in this movie. And then they all start walking for a really long time until they finally get to Will's cabin. And I mean, looking at just how much the terrain has changed, it looks like this spans a pretty large area. So how the hell did Paul know where his dad was going to be in the first place? They go into the cabin, and this is just weird. Some guy is in there eating some kind of animal in the most disgusting way possible, and you would think that certain questions would be asked, such as, what are you doing? And who the hell are you?
Where are my raccoons?
Yes, that's the main concern here. Where are his raccoons? You never come between a boy and his friends of the forest, especially those which have a very high chance of carrying rabies. That's part of the fun of having them in the house. You know, it's the risk factor. It's exciting. Turns out the raccoons are in the kitchen, getting into all the food and making a mess and biting people. So, of course, Jim starts laughing. This guy grabs one of them and tries to strangle it to death. Turns out this guy is Morgan Hicks, a U.S. Marshal big game hunter who has been sent here to hunt down some animal which has been causing trouble. Because, you know, the 12 Pines Summer Resort is having its pre-season convention on Monday, and over 500 people are supposed to show up. We can't have some wild animal roaming around. What do you think this is? Some kind of a forest? The next day they go out hunting the animal, even though they don't even know what it is they're looking for. And when they arrive at the waterfall, Paul's necklace starts glowing. Don't know what this means. Does it mean Bigfoot is nearby? Great. Cool, whatever. So they decide to go into this cave because they've never seen it before. You'd think that if Will knew the area well, he would have noticed this at some point. I guess this is Bigfoot's house or something. And this is where they find an insane amount of empty Coca-Cola cans. And Paul brought these to Bigfoot last summer, right? So you mean to tell me that this kid lugged all these cans of Coca-Cola to the waterfall, and what, his dad just didn't notice that 50 cans of Coca-Cola had mysteriously disappeared from the cabin? At one point, Hicks finds a footprint and he's like, holy crap, this must be Bigfoot, because I'm really into feet and this is the biggest one I've ever seen. This is between you and me, kid. You don't tell anybody. Because, you know, some people are kind of judgmental about that sort of thing. Also, don't tell them about the footprint either. So now they go visit Dr. Helen Foster. And Paul is like, hey, can I look at the animals? And then he does. And we have to watch him. Wow, who cares? And to top it off, Paul's kind of a jerk to the animals as well.
Oh, shut up!
Inside, Mesh Top is like, hey kid, come here, look at this book. It's got a Bigfoot statue in it. And Paul is like, uh-oh. And why? What's the significance of this? Well, yeah, look at this book. It's got a picture of a statue of Bigfoot. So now I know that those tracks we saw, those were Bigfoot tracks. You know, because of the book. I almost forgot about it, but the book just jarred my memory.
Paul, come back and finish your dinner, please.
I also like how Will is just completely oblivious to everything going on around him. He just tells Paul, hey, Paul, come back to dinner. No mention of anything like, hey, you look kind of disturbed after that weird guy said something to you. What did he say? So I guess the mystery animal breaks a cage and attacks a deer outside, and they're like, holy crap, there's 2 sets of tracks.
We may be hunting more than one animal here.
Again, you don't notice any of this, Will? None of this is weird to you? Oh my god. At one point, they run into these bikers who are just sitting around drinking, and there's like 60 bottles on the ground. I mean, give me a break. All right, here we go. It looks like they finally found the mystery animal that they're looking for, and it's a tiger. Of course, it's a tiger. I mean, what were you expecting? Bigfoot? You thought Bigfoot was gonna finally make an appearance for longer than 2 seconds and actually do something in this movie? After 53 minutes? Well, apparently you have unrealistic expectations.
That must be the tiger that escaped from the circus. It's a dead end. He's got to come back through here.
I don't know. The tiger runs away and Will tells Jim to take Paul to the bus station so that he can go back to school. But he's like, screw that. So he runs away, even though I have no idea where he thought he was going to go or why he threw down his hat and gloves as if he wasn't going to need them at some point. And Paul tells Jim that Bigfoot is real.
Boy, are you dumb.
No, I'm not dumb. You don't say things like that. I mean, and who are you? You're just a kid. You're like, what, 10? You're the one who's dumb. If anyone is dumb here, it's you, not me. Once again, Paul runs away, and eventually, Jim can't find him anymore.
You'd better come out, Paul! Ah!
I thought Paul was trying to lose this guy. What? Did he finally realize, hey, I actually have no plan of where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do if I lose this guy? Yeah. Again, you're calling people dumb? So Jim tells Paul to stay there and not to move as he goes back into the forest. But then Paul follows him, so he's like, okay, on second thought, yeah, come with me, because, you know, this movie is so goddamn stupid. This is where they see the ghost of a man named Red Hawk, and he tells Jim to leave them alone for a minute, and then he tells Paul to tell Bigfoot that he has to leave the forest. Now quick, run away. And this is short-lived, of course, because Jim manages to trap him in a net and takes him back to Helen's cabin, where she's reading books about Bigfoot. And why would she be doing that? What, because before she said it would take a powerful animal to break the cage?
It would take a powerful animal to tear this cage apart.
Well, then I guess it's gotta be Bigfoot. That's the only explanation. And just one more thing about this. They said that there were 2 different sets of tracks. And now that we know that the mystery animal is the tiger, does that mean the movie is trying to say that both Bigfoot and the tiger came through at the same time and over the course of 15 seconds ripped open the cage, took the deer, and then disappeared? You know, like Bigfoot was chasing the tiger?
Did you have to tie him up?
Do you know what he called me? He called me dumb. Me! Yeah, so, you know, you should tell him that he shouldn't say things like that because I'm not dumb. You should say, Jim's not dumb. In fact, he's one of the smartest people I know. So you should apologize and maybe even give him some money. Not a lot, just like 10, 20 bucks, whatever you got on you. I mean, that seems about fair. Anyways, Jim is like, I'm going to gas up the Jeep, look after the kid, and make sure he doesn't run away, which he, of course, tries to do. And as I said before, some of this writing and acting is just brutal.
But why would Bigfoot do this for you? Wait! Where do you think you're going? You don't know where to find him.
But you do! Take me to him!
All right.
So Hicks is like, I'm gonna kill Bigfoot and then stuff him and then tour him around the world. And Will is like, yeah, whatever, we gotta get this tiger first. Yeah, he made that noise blowing through his gloves. I mean, come on, man. Can you see why I hate this movie so much? Are you there yet? Are you with me? The tiger comes out, but then Bigfoot is motioning for the tiger to stay back or something, but then the tiger just climbs out anyways. I have genuinely no idea what is going on here. Like, is Bigfoot there? Wouldn't the guy see him? And is he telling the tiger to stay back? Why? What is the point of this? So the tiger doesn't get shot? Also, some of the footage of the tiger that they cut into this film isn't even good footage. Just look at this.
Got away again.
So Paul is traveling with Helen, who I am now convinced is on sedatives.
Oh no.
What happened?
We've run out of gas.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, almost every scene in this movie has something to talk about. It just doesn't stop. So the tiger starts attacking them in the truck, but they're saved by the guys in the Jeep who shoot at it. And just look at these changes in the terrain. None of this adds up at all. You've got no snow here, yet it's a winter wonderland over here. And check this out. This isn't even remotely the same place. This is a desert. This is the ghost town in Bodie, California. And if you want to shoot in different locations, that's fine. The problem is you're trying to make this all look like it's the same place when it's obviously not. Anyways, they chase the tiger into a mine and shoot it with a tranquilizer dart. And look, for whatever reason, they couldn't get the tiger with them for this shot. That's fine, but you gotta do something better than this. This is clearly just a blanket with a tiger stripe pattern. What's Paul doing? Wandering around, and I guess he was wandering for a really long time because he goes outside and surprise, he's in the forest again, and runs into none other than Bigfoot. And what is going on with the hands here? I mean, they did everything except the hands. What's going on with this lately? A few videos ago, we had pants instead of legs, and now Bigfoot doesn't have Bigfoot hands at all? You're not even gonna put some fur on them? Okay. And what happens after they're done laughing? Paul tells Bigfoot that he has to leave the forest so that Hicks doesn't kill him. And then he leaves. Because that's the payoff we've all been waiting for. Nothing. Of course, Will is looking for Paul, and this is when a bunch of rocks fall on top of him.
Help me, Paul. Help me.
Well, here it is, folks. It's a Christmas miracle. Bigfoot comes back and helps lift the boulders off of Will and then disappears. So was that it? Is that what Bigfoot meant when he told Paul that his father was in grave danger and that Paul was going to have to be the one to save him? Because it seems to me that it wouldn't have happened if Paul wasn't there in the first place. Like, am I almost done? God damn it. Okay, so Hicks starts chasing after Bigfoot and walks right into Red Hawk and his gang of super friends. I guess Red Hawk has a necklace too, which shines in his face, and the eagle, hawk, whatever, pecks his eyeballs out. I'm not kidding. Very family friendly. I wish I could say that the movie ends there, but it just gets worse. I'm being serious when I say this is one of the dumbest, cheesiest endings I've ever seen in my life. Mr. Douglas tells Paul that his dad wrote him a long letter explaining everything that happened, so he believes in Bigfoot now. Because of course he does. Why wouldn't he? That's indisputable proof right there, a letter. Then he asks Paul if he can come with him on vacation next summer so that he can meet Bigfoot. And wouldn't you know, Bigfoot is standing right outside. Oh my God, roll the credits, please. The screenwriter really wasn't kidding when he said he would be writing a movie about nothing. I have seen so many bad movies over the years, but this has got to be in my personal top 10. Even the poster sucks. There's a different poster, but I'm not even sure this is the same kid. He never wears this sweater in the movie. Maybe my expectations were just too high. Maybe I was wrong for expecting a movie about Bigfoot to actually be about Bigfoot. But it's over, so I'm just grateful for that. I want to thank all of my supporters on Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, and YouTube. Thank you to all of you for tuning in, but that's pretty much it for this one, and I'll see you all next time. It really should have stopped at the script. I don't know how anybody could have read it and been like, yeah, there's definitely a movie here. Plain M&Ms? Straight in the trash. I would rather eat Smarties than plain M&Ms. And I know some of you who are in the States, you might be a little bit confused right now. That's because Smarties for us are different than Smarties for you. Smarties for us are like, how do I describe it? They're like plain M&Ms, except they're good.